Can space law stop military conflicts in orbit? Can space law really prevent military conflicts in orbit? This question is becoming increasingly relevant as more countries engage in space activities. Space law aims to create a framework for how nations interact in outer space, with the hope of maintaining peace. However, the effectiveness of these laws is often challenged by various factors. At the heart of space law is the Outer Space Treaty, established in 1967. This treaty prohibits the placement of nuclear weapons or any weapons of mass destruction in orbit. It emphasizes that space should be used for peaceful purposes. Article 4 of the treaty clearly bans these weapons, while Article 9 requires nations to consider the interests of others when conducting space activities. This means avoiding harmful contamination and consulting with other countries if their actions might interfere with others. Despite these guidelines, enforcing space law is complicated. Many technologies used in space have both civilian and military applications. For example, satellites can be used for communication, weather monitoring, and military surveillance. This dual-use nature makes it hard to determine what is peaceful and what is hostile. As a result, defining military threats in space becomes a challenge. International law also incorporates principles from the law of armed conflict. These principles, like necessity and proportionality, apply to military operations in space. They requiring that any attack on space objects must consider potential harm to civilians and infrastructure. This includes the risk of creating debris that could endanger other satellites and missions. While there are frameworks in place, the geopolitical climate complicates efforts to prevent military conflicts in space. Nations often have competing interests and security concerns, making it difficult to reach agreements. The risk of conflict is real, as seen in tests of anti-satellite weapons and close maneuvers that may seem threatening. For astronauts and space missions, these legal and political issues create operational challenges. Astronauts undergo extensive training to navigate safely in an environment where collisions or hostile actions could threaten their missions. The presence of military tensions in orbit increases the need for careful coordination and planning to ensure safety. In practical terms, space law helps set norms that guide how nations behave in space. It encourages dialogue and restraint, but it cannot fully eliminate the risk of military conflicts. Stronger enforcement mechanisms and greater international cooperation are needed to make space a safer place for everyone. The safety of astronauts and the success of missions depend not only on technical training, but also on the stability that effective governance can provide.